Hey guys, it's United Way and welcome to a preview of the Premier League season 2015-16, which starts on Saturday the 8th of August, and the first match of the Premier League season altogether actually involves United at home to Tottenham Hotspur, a 1:15 kick-off, and I am very excited because the Premier League season has come around really quickly this year, probably to do with the fact that it starts a week early than it usually would do. It would usually start on the 15th, for example, but it's done a week early on the 8th. And I'm just going to be doing a prediction for the table this season. I probably won't do all the table, but I'll most likely do the bottom three, the teams slightly above that, and the top 10. So in bottom, I think will be Leicester. I don't really have faith in Ranieri. He doesn't seem like the most inspirational of blokes. I think I read he hasn't spent more than 2 years in a job since he left Chelsea in 2004. He just got sacked by Greece. He done horrific. He lost to some random team. I can't remember, like Liechtenstein or some really small club like country like that. So I'm not awfully impressed by their signings. Okazaki seems like a good striker, but he's not going to be enough to keep them up. And I think they'll finish in bottom place. 19th, I've got Bournemouth. The Cherries, recently promoted to the Premier League. It really hurt me to put them in 19th because I really want them to stay up, and I think they can. I just think they'll struggle with consistency, struggle against the bigger team because they play nice football rather than direct football. They seem to have a nice blend of passing and counter-attacking football, which in a way will go against them because they'll be playing against much higher opposition this year, obviously. They haven't got an awful lot of Premier League experience. They signed Sylvain Distin, who had years in the Premier League, but other than that, I can't think of too many players who have been in the Premier League for too many years. They do have a few good players, to be fair. Harry Arter, the Irish international, he looks like a really exciting midfielder. Matt Ritchie, the winger from Scotland, he seems very good. Callum Wilson is a good striker with lots of pace, but in the end, I do think they'll end up getting relegated, and in my opinion, they'll finish 19th. The last relegation spot, a little bit of a bold prediction. In a way, I don't think they'll go down, but the way I set up the table, I just don't think they'll have enough in the end, and that team is Aston Villa. They've just lost Fabien Delph, their captain, who I never really rated, but for a team like Aston Villa, he's obviously going to be a loss. They've just lost Christian Benteke, which will be a huge loss. He was their main goal threat for 3 seasons, and he done really well there, and now he's off to Liverpool, so I think they'll miss him. They've replaced him with Jordan Ayew, who seems like a decent striker, but I don't think he'll exactly set the league alight. Rudy Gestede, who had a good season with Blackburn in the Championship, but again, I don't see him doing too well. Jordan Vertu is a very good midfielder. I think he'll be a good signing for them. Jordan Amavi is a left back who I don't know an awful lot about, but he seems decent. Mika Richards will be a good signing at centre back. He's our captain actually. He's been named our new captain today, and they signed someone else. Oh, Idrissa Gueye from Lille, I think. He actually said in his press conference at his unveiling that he wants to use Aston Villa as a stepping stone to move to a bigger club, which is not what you say about whoever you move to, no matter how small of a club it is. And also, I think Tim Sherwood was probably the right appointment in the short term because he's never really going to get them relegated. But I don't think he's enough steel in management to keep them up, and I think they'll just about get relegated in 18th. And the team that I have just escaping relegation in 17th is Watford. But to be honest, I could easily see them getting relegated. I've just about kept them up because I think they've made a couple of decent signings here and there, but one thing that really could work against them is our signing too many players. You've seen QPR done it in 2011 when they originally got promoted. They just about stayed up in 17th on the last day, and then they've done the exact same the next summer. They didn't learn from their mistakes and they got relegated. They had a number of superstars, for QPR level anyway, and it didn't work out, and it was never really going to work out because their wage bill was just so high. The players were just there for money and they couldn't give a shit about QPR. And another thing that might work against them is they've appointed a new manager. To be honest, I couldn't tell you who it is, can't even remember, but they had a Serbian manager last year who got them promoted and he done really well with them, but for whatever reason he left the club, wages or something like that, and I could see them getting relegated, but I've given them the benefit of the doubt, and I have them in 17th. I'll skip on from 10th to 1st because the teams in that 16th to 11th bracket are a little bit irrelevant. I've got West Brom. I've got them just above the relegation zone because Tony Pulis isn't the best manager, but he just does not get relegated. I've got teams like Norwich, who I think will have a good season under Alex Neil in their first season. He's a very good manager. Teams like Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Sunderland, I think they'll do okay. But in 10th, I've got Swansea because they had a really good season last year. They finished 8th, which I think was their highest ever finish in English football, which is a bit weird because they're Welsh. But their signings haven't been great. They got Andre Ayew, who I think will do really well. But other than that, their signings have been a little bit uninspiring. But I do see them having another good season, smack bang in the middle in 10th. In 9th, I've got Everton. There's not really much to talk about. They've got Deulofeu in for something like £4 million, which is really cheap for Deulofeu, but I don't see an awful lot of talking points for them. If they keep John Stones, I think they might do even better, but there's not too much talking points on Everton. So I'll skip on to 8th, which is Stoke. I think they'll have another really good season. They've done really well in their first 2 seasons under Mark Hughes, which, to be honest, I didn't expect because I never really rated Mark Hughes as a manager. So fair play to them. They've brought in some very good signings. People like Afellay, Jose Lu, a few other players that can't really think of off the top of my head. But again, they'll do really well this season again in 8th. In 7th, I've got Southampton because they lost people like Morgan Schneiderlin, Nathaniel Klein and Toby Alderweireld. Would be 3 very big losses, but they've replaced them quite well. Cedric Suarez at right back, Jordan Classy will replace Schneiderlin in midfield, and I actually can't think of who they signed as a replacement centre back. I feel like they did get someone though. Sorry about that, but again, I think they'll stay in the same position as they did last year in 7th. And it'll be another decent season for Ronald Koeman's side. Now things get a little bit more interesting in 6th, as I have Tottenham Hotspur, who go down 1 place from last season's 5th. Again, it's kind of similar story to Everton. They'll do more or less the same because their signings have been very uninspiring. As I said, they got Toby Alderweireld from Southampton, and I think he's a good centre-back, but he's not going to improve them drastically. They got Kevin Wimmer from Stuttgart, another centre-back who I have no idea about. And other than that, I don't think they've signed anyone, which is not good. They're not going to improve. And again, I think it'll be another fairly average season for Tottenham. Now, just missing out in Champions League football is Liverpool. They very nearly got it last season because they had a great run of form from January till about March, until United bet them at Anfield, and that all but ended their top 4 hopes. And again, I think they'll finish 5th. They just about actually missed out in 5th last year as well. They dropped down to 6th on the last day, which was quite poor, finishing below Tottenham. But they've made some good signings here and there. Klein's a good right back. Firmino, I think, will be a very good signing. Benteke will be a good signing, not 32.5 million good signing, but still decent nonetheless. James Milner, he'll add a little bit of substance to the midfield, but other than that, I don't see them doing too well unless they can find a lot of consistency. But again, I don't see them getting Champions League football. Now, in 4th, I've got Arsenal getting back their 4th place trophy, as they like to win so well. A lot of people have them finishing 2nd and 3rd. Not many people have them finishing 4th, which is a little bit strange for Arsenal because usually everyone has them down as 4th. But again, I don't really see the hype. They've got Cech, who will be a very good keeper, and he'll improve them. He'll win them a few points here and there. But I don't think they've made any other signings. So I just don't see them being very inspiring. A lot of people have them down as title challengers, but in my opinion, Arsene Wenger is no longer a title challenging manager, and unless they get a really good striker and Sanchez really does well and Ozil finally does well in his 3rd season, then I don't see them doing too well, and I think they'll get back their 4th place position. In 3rd, I've got my beloved Manchester United. A lot of people have us down as 4th, a few 3rd here and there, but to be honest, what I want this season is just a good run in the Champions League once we get past the playoff, and I could well have a reaction to our playoff draw on Friday. We'll find out our opponents, but I just want a good run in the Champions League, maybe one of the cups, and generally just an improvement. It doesn't have to be winning the title. It doesn't even have to be second, just third, and just do well in other competitions, because I think the challenge from people like Chelsea and City and even Arsenal, I think, will be too much for us. We've got a lot of people leaving: Van Persie, Falcao, Raphael, Di Maria, Fletcher, quite possibly De Gea. So I think just an improvement I'll be happy with this season, and that's why I have us down in third. Finishing second again, I think it'll be Manchester City. Quite a few people have them down in third and fourth, but in my opinion, if you have David Silva, Sergio Aguero, and quite possibly an on-form Yaya Toure, you're not going to be finishing third or fourth. You're going to at least challenge for the title. I think they'll have a good season. Their signings haven't been great, but they've kept Aguero, they've kept Toure, they still have Silva, and they've added a lot of pace on the wing with Raheem Sterling. He's an exciting talent. It doesn't matter if it's 49 million, he still will be a good signing. And I see them missing out on the title in second yet again, but I do think they'll do well. And winning the title again, of course, I have Chelsea. I have them there because they have the best manager in the world, Jose Mourinho. They still have most of their squad from last season. They brought in Falcao, who I don't think will do too well, but he's still a good backup. And they just generally have the least weaknesses out of any side in the Premier League. I think once they have Hazard scoring goals, Diego Costa, Oscar Willian, Fabregas, Nemanja Matic, John Terry, Thibaut Courtois in goal, I just don't see them not winning the title, and I'll be amazed if they don't. And yet again, I think it'll be Jose's men lifting the title for a second year in a row. Let me know what you think will be the bottom three and the top four in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Please let me know. But be sure to like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed.